The court will call the matter of Ashley Bagby, scheduled for a half-hour contested hearing on originally a bench warrant for failure to pay child support amounts. If I could have the parties state their names for the record, please, starting with Ms. Bagby in the Otsego County Jail.
Ashley Bagby.
All right, from the FOC?
Edward Brzezinski.
And I see Ms. Duchman-Coy present.
Yes, good afternoon, Your Honor. Mr. Leszewski is also present.
All right, and you represent his interests?
That's correct.
I see Mr. Leszewski. You are the father of the child in this case. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. We are set for a hearing. We had an arraignment on a bench warrant, I believe, on March the 11th. Reset it for today when Ms. Bagby requested counsel or the chance to obtain counsel. And then Mr. Brzezinski was going to send a supplemental petition over to her as well as a form regarding disability. So, Mr. Brzezinski, were you successful in accomplishing those tasks?
Yes, I was, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Bagby, have you retained counsel?
No, I have not, Your Honor. Not yet. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to.
Did you receive a copy of the supplemental petition Mr. Brzezinski brought over to you or had sent over to you?
I did, Your Honor, and I did sign the bottom like I was supposed to. However, I do not have a current doctor, and the office for CMH said that they cannot sign the form or have it sent to my former doctor because I'm not a current client. That case ended in December.
All right, and the form that you're talking about there is that form regarding disability that Mr. Brzezinski also had sent over to you? All right.
That is correct, Your Honor.
When would what do you believe that the disability would entail? What do you think the doctor's notes would show?
Well, the doctor's notes will show that I suffer from dissociative amnesia, dissociative fugue, possibly DID. He did rule out schizophrenia, but I do hear voices. It has impaired my ability to even drive to work, let alone work, the last few years. And I also do have with me from the Department of Health and Human Services Center for Forensic Psychiatry on May 15th, 2024 for the 90th Judicial Court out of Charlevoix, Michigan, where I was found incompetent to stand trial and not restorable within the criteria. And I do have that with me. I just don't know how to share this with you folks from jail. I don't know if that helps this situation at all, but being found incompetent to stand trial and not restorable to competency, I think speaks wonders as far as my dissociative disorders.
All right, Mr. Brzezinski, did you have an opportunity to review the documentation that she's referring to?
No, I have not.
All right. Ma'am, when was the last time that you had, other than that form that you just referred to from the 90th District Court, when was the last time that you had contact with a doctor that diagnosed the maladies that you just stated?
That was in December. I saw Dr. G. I do not know how to pronounce his name. That's why I call him Dr. G. But I saw Dr. G from May of 2024 until December of 2024. So it was just recently that I stopped seeing him, and that was because I moved out of the county, so the county would not allow me to still see him. That is the only reason I stopped seeing him. I didn't want to. I just had to because I was moving out of county.
All right. Does Dr. G work for an agency that you're aware of?
He works for Community Mental Health out of Petoskey. And today, Dorothy, I spoke with CMH here in the jail. She left me a note. She said, Ashley, I spoke with the office and the form cannot be signed by the doctor because you are not a current client. The case ended in December. So
they wouldn't allow you to sign a release so that you could get your records from them?
They would not, Your Honor, and that's what I was wondering if perhaps subpoena him. If I possibly subpoena Dr. G to establish it on the record, if that's an option. If I can somehow subpoena him and force him to testify, he is my former doctor. I did see him for several months from May through December. I did not miss one appointment. I even have medication that I am now a little bit concerned about. I don't have a current doctor to prescribe my Seroquel when I do run out. I did not realize this because I had to move out of the county that he is no longer allowed to speak on my behalf. I don't foresee that being legal, especially if he were to be subpoenaed and questioned about seeing me as a client.
Well, he's not subpoenaed yet, so he hasn't done anything
Right.
wrong at this point because
Correct.
he hasn't been subpoenaed. So, did any of those doctors that you're aware of indicate that you were unable to work because of your mental health diagnoses?
Yes, Dr. G did. I also have seen Dr. Overmeyer in Munson out of Traverse City. That was a couple years ago. I know I'm not a former client, but perhaps he would be one that could testify also, or could write a letter on my behalf. I have seen 3 psychiatrists in the last 3 years. And I did not realize that Dr. G was no longer a doctor I was able to make an appointment with. I did not realize that the case was closed and I have to start all the way over from the beginning again to reopen the case with him. And I do not live in another county right now.
All right, Ms. Bagby, are you currently living in Otsego County again now?
No,
Where are you living at?
I was down in St. Helen, Your Honor. I did have an acquaintance reach out to me on Saturday and he offered me a place to stay in Mackinac City if I do get out of jail.
Well, the only reason I asked about that is I want to know whether or not you've established another relationship with another county's CMH so that we could begin that process of obtaining the proper records. However, it doesn't sound like you've got a permanent address at the moment. Would that be accurate?
No, I do not. That is accurate, Your Honor.
Well, Ms. Bagby, I would love to be able to give you an opportunity to get these records or get these doctors to testify on your behalf so we can determine whether or not you can work. In many cases, mental health doesn't prevent all work opportunities. So I do want to give you every opportunity to present that sort of evidence to me before I make a decision about whether or not you've made a good faith effort to comply with the court's order to pay child support, and whether or not that continuing requirement would put you in a manifest hardship. But before I know that, or can do that, I need to know whether or not you're permitted to work and by any mental health or physical health reasons that you may have. And I'm going to need some sort of doctor's testimony or information so that we can allow Mr. Brzezinski or his staff to assess it and determine whether or not they wish to proceed any further with this case. So how long do you think that you're going to need to be able to obtain the documentation that you need? Either a release from Dr. G at CMH in Petoskey or contact with Dr. Overmeyer regarding your mental health records?
Your Honor, I am concerned on getting the release from Dr. G because we did try that today. Dorothy from CMH did reach out to his office today and they said they will not do it.
Well,
I don't know how to go about getting it if they won't cooperate.
all right, so you're asking the court to issue a subpoena,
Yes,
and the subpoena would cover your mental health records for what time period do you think would be sufficient to show that you are either or are not able to work?
well, CMH has got a long history with me. They have my mental health records from 2015 when the blackout started.
Well, I'm asking you, what mental health records do you want to present to me to show me that you can't work? How long in your past do you want to go?
I would be able to present from May of 2024. Well, I'm not sure I understand the question completely, Your Honor. I'm not sure if you're looking for me to present for the last however many years, but from May 2024 until December of 2024, I did see Dr. G, one doctor, and he did mention disability several times, and
All right,
I just
well-
kept turning it down.
The show cause is a statement by the court that says that you have a court order against you. So the burden is on you to show me why you shouldn't be held in contempt for failure to pay your child support. So the burden, the initial burden is on you to show why you didn't do that. If you can give me a legitimate reason, such as the doctors said I couldn't work, then I can accept that, and I'll say there's no penalty or no punishment. There's no problem with that because you have a doctor's indication that says that you can't work. So I simply want to know from you, if I'm going to issue a subpoena on your behalf, I want to know what records specifically. So I believe it would be Dr. G and CMH, community mental health records at CMH and then I need a time period. For what time period? So right now you've asked me for May through December of 2024. Are there any other records that you think would be appropriate that you want to present to me on that issue?
I'm gonna, not at this time, Your Honor. There's a lot that I do not remember as far as what has happened before. As far as Dr. Overmeyer or Dr. Singula, but I do know that the most recent with Dr. G would definitely, I believe, satisfy the court's request.
All right. There may be additional releases that CMH, even with the subpoenas, CMH may want to have a different kind of release or a different kind of paperwork signed. So I want you to be aware of that. I don't know, and I'm not putting words in their mouth, but I want to make sure that you're willing to sign releases so that they can testify on your behalf at this next court hearing that we're going to try to set.
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Understand?
I will sign any document.
All right. Mr. Brzezinski, do you have any comment as to the court's procedures so far?
No, Judge.
All right. What I'm going to do then is grant an adjournment for approximately 3 weeks to allow a subpoena to be drafted, and the court will do that because Ms. Bagby is incarcerated and otherwise would not have access to the ability to do that. The court is not acting as your attorney and is not giving you any special treatment, but because you're not able to do it in order to make sure that the court has the ability to continue the court case, I'm going to issue a subpoena to Dr. G at Community Mental Health in Petoskey for the records that you have asked for in court and for his testimony. And I'll have staff reach out to the CMH and indicate if they need a release of any kind that you're available to sign that currently at the jail. All right, so we'll do that. Anything else that you could ask for, Mr. Brzezinski?
No, so bond will be continued then until the next hearing.
That's what I'm thinking of doing. Ms. Bagby, anything else that you would ask of the court?
No, Your Honor, not at this time.
All right, we will continue bond. If she's able to bond out, we'll we'll send whatever notices we have to the addresses that she will leave with the jail. And we'll see all of you in approximately 3 weeks. The court will maybe need some assistance as to an address for CMH, but I think we probably have the ability to find that here. If not, I may contact Mr. Brzezinski about that. But otherwise, we'll see you all in approximately 3 weeks. Thank you. That's all for today then.